in the heart of London, in one of the most expensive and prestigious areas, Mayfair. There is a quiet square called Curzon Square, and on the corner stands a classic Georgian building. It looks normal, elegant, historic. Built in the 1700s, damaged in World War II, and eventually turned into luxury flats. Nothing about it suggests what happened inside. In the 1970s, one of the flats was owned by Harry Nilsson, a hugely respected musician known for songs like Everybody's Talking and his close friendship with the Beatles. Because of his connections, this flat became a place where musicians would stay when they were in London. And that's where this story begins. Welcome to Patterned Reality. What if I told you two famous musicians died in exactly the same place? Same flat, same bedroom, even the same bed. 4 years apart. And here's the part that makes it eerie. They were both 32 years old. In 1974, Cass Elliot, also known as Mama Cass, was staying in the flat. She was a member of the Mamas and Papas, a massive band from the 1960s, known for hits like California Dreamin'. At the time, she was performing solo shows in London, including the famous London Palladium. After a series of exhausting performances, on July 29, 1974, she was found dead in the bedroom of the flat. She was just 32 years old. At first, people believed a strange rumor that she had choked on a sandwich. But that wasn't true. She actually died from a heart attack. Still tragic, still sudden. And at the time, it was just a one-off. 4 years later, another musician needed a place to stay. This time it was Keith Moon, the drummer from The Who, one of the most famous and chaotic rock stars of all time. He was known for his wild lifestyle, heavy drinking, and unpredictable behavior. Even the owner, Nilsson, was hesitant to let him stay there. Some even joked that the flat might be cursed. But eventually, he agreed and let Keith move in. Then on September 7, 1978, after attending a film screening hosted by Paul McCartney, Keith Moon returned to the flat and died, in the same bedroom, in the exact same bed, also aged 32. This time, it was an overdose. Ironically, from medication to help him stop drinking. Same flat, same room, same bed. Two global music icons, 4 years apart, both dying at 32 years old. After that, the owner refused to live there again. He sold the flat and moved away for good. Some called it coincidence. Others weren't so sure. Because when you start looking deeper, you realize something strange. Cass Elliot and Keith Moon aren't the only ones who died at 32. Different people, different lives, different places, same age, and once you start to see it, you can't stop. We're going to look deeper into what some people call the 32 Club. Real people, real deaths, real patterns. And the question is this just a coincidence or something else completely? Brian Epstein was the man who managed the Beatles from December 1961. Without him, they may never have been Beatlemania. He transformed them from a small Liverpool band into global icons. But then, in 1967, Brian Epstein died in London from an accidental overdose of sleeping pills and alcohol. He was just 32 years old. His funeral took place on August 29, 1967, but none of the Beatles attended. The main reason for this was because they were so famous that their presence there would have caused huge crowds, media attention, and chaos, turning a private Jewish funeral in Liverpool into a public spectacle. Instead, they chose to mourn privately, and George Harrison arranged for a flower tribute of a single sunflower to be placed on Brian's coffin. A few weeks later, all four Beatles attended a public memorial service in London to properly pay their respects. Bruce Lee wasn't just a movie star. By the early 1970s, he was becoming a global icon. He helped bring martial arts into mainstream cinema and inspired millions around the world. Movies like The Big Boss, Fist of Fury, and Way of the Dragon made him one of the most recognizable people on Earth. And then came Enter the Dragon, the movie that was about to make him a worldwide superstar. But Bruce Lee would never live to see how massive it would become. On July 20th, 1973, Bruce spent the day in Hong Kong discussing his next film, Game of Death. Later that evening, he went to the apartment of actress Betty Ting Pei. While there, he complained about a bad headache. She gave him a painkiller called Equigestic. Bruce went to lie down and rest. But hours passed and never woke up. He was rushed to hospital, where the doctors pronounced him dead. He was only 32 years old. The official cause of death was cerebral edema, which simply means swelling of the brain. 6 days after his death, Enter the Dragon was released. It became a worldwide hit, and Bruce Lee became immortal. Not just a martial artist, a legend. Bruce Lee changed movies forever, changed martial arts forever. And even today, people still ask the same question. How does someone who seemed almost unstoppable suddenly die at 32? J Dilla was born and raised in Detroit. To mainstream audiences, his name might not sound massive. But in hip-hop, he was legendary. Dilla helped shape the sound of modern rap and soul music. He produced music for artists like A Tribe Called Quest, Common, Erykah Badu, and The Roots. And the way he made beats was different. Most producers tried to make everything perfectly on time. Dilla didn't. His beats felt human, almost alive. That style became hugely influential. Even today, producers still copy the sound he helped create. But while his music career was growing, his health was getting worse. Dilla suffered from lupus, a disease where the body attacks itself. He also had a rare blood disorder. For years, he was constantly ill, in and out of hospital. But he still kept on making music. Some of his most respected work was reportedly created from a hospital bed. Then, on February 10th, 2006, just 3 days after his 32nd birthday, J Dilla died at his home in Los Angeles. The cause of death was complications linked to lupus and his blood disorder. And here's where the pattern begins to get strange. Just 2 months later, another Detroit figure, connected to the same music scene, is also dead, at 32, Proof. Proof wasn't just a rapper. In Detroit, he was respected, a major part of the city's hip-hop scene. Most people knew him as Eminem's best friend, but to Detroit, he was much more than that. He was one of the founding members of D12, the rap group that helped put Detroit on the map. Before the fame, before the money, Proof and Eminem were coming up together in underground rap battles. He was known for being loyal, funny, confident, and someone people listened to. A lot of fans believed he kept Eminem grounded during the chaos of fame. Then came April 12, 2006. Proof was at the Triple C Club in Detroit, an after-hours nightclub. Music playing, people drinking, a normal night out. But at some point, a fight broke out inside the club. No one expected what happened next. Shots were fired, another man was hit during the fight. Then, Proof himself was shot in the head. Panic spread through the club, the people running, screaming, trying to get out. Proof was rushed to hospital, but he didn't survive. He died later that morning. He was just 32 years old. What makes this so unsettling is how fast it all happened. 1 minute, laughing in a nightclub, the next, he's gone. Not illness, not an overdose, not in an accident, just sudden chaos. His death hit the rap world hard, especially Eminem. Proof had been there from the very beginning. Another influential figure, another sudden ending. Another life ends at 32. Brittany Murphy wasn't just another actress. She had become one of the most recognizable faces of the 2000s. From films like Clueless, to 8 Mile, to psychological thrillers and voice acting. She was everywhere. Then, suddenly, on December 20th, 2009, she collapses in her bathroom. Paramedics arrived, but hours later, she's pronounced dead. Age 32. Official cause of death, pneumonia, combined with severe anemia. And prescription medication intoxication, meaning too much medication had built up in the bloodstream, potentially life-threatening. But almost immediately, questions started appearing. Why was someone so young, so sick? Why did she seem isolated in her final months? But then things got even stranger. Just 5 months later, her husband, Simon Monjack, is also dead, in the same house, from similar causes. Same home, similar symptoms. The internet explodes with theories. Mold in the house, prescription drugs, toxic exposure, even foul play. Nothing has ever been officially proven beyond the coroner's final report. But the timing and the similarities made the story impossible for people to let go of. Another star, another strange ending, another 32, and it just keeps on happening. Carpenter, one of the most recognizable voices in music in the 70s and early 80s. Soft, perfectly controlled, almost impossible to mistake. Known for hits like Top of the World, Close to You, and many more. As one half of the Carpenters, she became one of the biggest stars of the 1970s. But behind the scenes, she was struggling. For years, Karen had battled anorexia nervosa, at a time when very few people understood what it was. Then, on February 4th, 1983, at her parents' family home in Downey, California, she collapses. She is transported to Downey Community Hospital and is pronounced dead, just weeks before her 33rd birthday. Cause of death, heart failure, linked to the physical damage caused by years of anorexia. And suddenly, the world realized something terrifying. A condition that many saw as dieting could actually kill you. Another global star, gone at 32. And there's still more. Take John Bonham. He wasn't just a drummer. To many, he was the best drummer. Powerful, explosive, unpredictable. The heartbeat of Led Zeppelin. But on September 24th, 1980, during rehearsals for a new tour, Bonham drinks heavily throughout the day. Vodka after vodka. By the nighttime, he's passed out. Friends place him in bed to sleep it off. But the next morning, he's found dead. He was 32 years old. Cause of death, pulmonary aspiration, which basically means he choked on his own vomit in his sleep. And the impact was immediate. Without Bonham, Led Zeppelin refused to continue. The band ended completely. Another legend, another sudden ending, another 32. Maybe the 32 Club isn't real. Maybe it's coincidence. Maybe it's just the way our brains connect things together. But when the same age, the same endings, and sometimes the same places keep appearing, it's hard not to wonder. Because history isn't just made of events. It's made of patterns. Some real, some imagined, and sometimes the line becomes impossible to see. Different lives, different worlds, same age, 32. And when you start to notice it, it's hard not to carry on seeing it. Thank you for watching Patterned Reality. We hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe.